deception level. Yeah. Oi, glow is looking a bit mad. I found it. This is a vibe, guys. What can I say? So we can have the best of both. Cue Hannah Montana. I'm gonna take my... No, I don't want to use that. I'm gonna... Why does this stuff always happen to me when I'm filming? Waterproof, aka sweatproof and heatproof, and it's gonna last. So I'm just gonna line my and I'm gonna use it just to lighten up the center a little bit because sis did not realize how dark this was gonna look. So today I show you guys how I created the base that I've got going on. I wanted to create something for summer which is kind of like sweat and heat proof, like can just kind of withstand heat, last long, not look cakey, feel kind of light on your skin and not feel like you're doing a full beat but still being able to look like you got a full beat. You know, you feel me? You know what I mean? Like full beat but without like the negative feelings of a full beat. I think I just repeated what I just said, but we move. Anyways, so that is what the aim of this video was. So I kind of talk you through my techniques as well as the products I'm using, and I show you how I use them and why it's important to do each thing and how that will either make your makeup last longer or be thinner and less cakey. You feel me? So I really hope that you guys find this one useful, and yeah, that's it really. So thank you guys so much for clicking on the video, and I will see you all in 2 seconds. Alright, so we're just gonna go straight into it. As you can tell, my brows are done and my eyes are done, and we're just gonna go straight into the base. I have already moisturized my skin, and I today used my Oilatum cream. You guys know I love this stuff. I feel like this is one of them things you either love it or you hate it because it's very thick. So some people don't like that thick kind of greasy feel, which is completely fair enough, but I feel like if you've got dry skin, like really dehydrated skin, this is a really good one. But if you want to go for something a little bit thinner, then you definitely can. But basically you just want to use a moisturizer which is really hydrating, and is going to lock in moisture. So anything with hyaluronic acid in it will be really good because that is a skincare ingredient which basically locks in moisture into your skin, and it keeps your skin very kind of like plump and like, you know, just hydrated and moisturized and all of that good stuff. So you just want to use something really moisturizing, but it doesn't matter what it is as long as it kind of works for you. Then you can go in with a primer if you're a primer kind of girl, but I'm not a primer kind of girl, so I'm not going to do that because I wouldn't normally do it, and my makeup lasts all day and I don't even use a primer, so you don't need to. If you feel like a primer's not doing it for you, like, don't force yourself to because you think it's a step that you need to do because everyone does it, because personally I've not found one which I'm like, wow, this makes such a difference to my makeup, so what's the point? You're just putting extra chemicals on your skin for no reason. So I am going to skip that. Now I'm going to go in with some setting spray to kind of prep my skin. So I'm using my Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray. Loads of people don't realise that this is really great to almost like prime or prep your skin. So post moisturiser and before foundation, I like to give myself a little spritz. I said a little spritz and I was going for a long time. And basically what this is going to do is help to make your help to lock in your base, so that's going to help with the longevity of your makeup. So whenever I've got like a long day, like if like sometimes what I do is I'm going to work in the morning and then I'm like going out like meeting friends or whatever like straight after work, so I'm like, okay, my makeup needs to look A1 throughout the whole day, it needs to last. So that's something I do every time that I know like it's going to be a long day, a long makeup day. So yeah, I will spray my face. Now I'm going to go in with foundation. So I want to use something that is kind of light but still is going to give me full coverage. I'm going to use my Becca Luminous Aqua Perfecting Foundation. It's very light on the skin. It doesn't feel heavy or cakey at all. It is light coverage, but it's very buildable, so I'm going to go in with that today. I still have this in my little sample pot, but I need to buy the full size thing because I absolutely love this stuff. It's so good. Apply it on my face, and you don't want to go in too heavy because the worst thing is having a cakey base when it's hot. Like, that's literally the worst thing ever. So I'm gonna go in quite light to start, at least. And the areas where I put concealer, and where I use concealer quite heavily, so under my eyes especially, I don't like to go in too heavy with foundation in that area because I'm going to cover it up anyway with a full coverage concealer, so it just helps less product to be on your skin, so you're less likely to get the cakey look. So I mainly apply areas where I know that I'm not really going to be applying much full coverage concealer over the top. So I go down my nose, around the parameters of my face, as you can see. Then I want it to be a little bit fuller coverage, so I am going to buff this up with a brush. What brush should we go with? So I'm going to start with a flat foundation brush, and I'm just going to start blending this into my skin. Now I'm just going to go in with a little more because I want to build the coverage in certain areas. So I'm taking some more on my brush. I'm going to take it in the places that I want more full coverage. And this time I'm going to go in with my all-time favourite brush, which is my Expert Face Brush from Real Techniques. This is literally like the best foundation brush in the world. Like, I always go back to it. Like, always. Okay, so when you're happy with the kind of level of coverage that you want to go for, stop there. Then I go in and spray my face again with the All Nighter Setting Spray. I feel like this makes so much of a difference, this step. Like, I always do it after my foundation and before I've done my concealer or before I've set anything, and it just locks your foundation in place. So you've done one spray before, one spray after, and it secures everything. And also when it's hot, it's really refreshing. Like, it just feels really good, and that's good enough of a reason to use it, to be honest. Let's be real. So now it is time for cream contouring. So one product that I would recommend is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Cream Contour Kit. To be honest, any kind of cream contour kit that you have is going to be good for this, because when you've got a palette, like a cream palette, the product is normally a little bit stiffer than, let's say, a darker coloured foundation or a darker coloured concealer, which you may use to cream contour with. So because it's stiffer, the product is less likely to kind of smudge or like move over time. So that is why in summer, and when I want like a really long lasting look, I will always go to my cream contour kit because it stays in place and it doesn't run. Not that if you use a not saying that if you use a different method of contouring that it will run, but I feel like this stays in the place that you put it, like, perfectly, and that's exactly what you want. So what I like to do is use my Real Techniques sculpting brush, and then I dab the brush straight into the pan like this, and then I kind of lift this area up slightly, and I use the angle of the brush to follow the angle of my contour, and I just like dab the product. So in light, repetitive kind of stippling motions. And you're using the angle of the brush to help you. So use this line that the brush has to give you that contoured line. And then slowly start blending the product out by the edges so you don't have a harsh line anywhere. And then you've got like a natural kind of bronzed contour look, which doesn't look too harsh. So this is a way to stop it from looking too intense. Like, it's better than drawing like the lines on your face, and then sometimes like when you're blending out you're like, oh my gosh, I've gone in way too heavy, now I've got too many unnecessary layers of makeup on my face and it's going to look cakey. And then you've got to go in with more concealer to balance out the fact that you've done too much contour, and then you've just got extra products layering on top of your skin, and that's going to make it look cakey. It's more likely that your makeup's going to come out cakey, and throughout the day it's going to start to show that it looks cakey, or it will start to separate, or the finish won't be as flawless. So the key to make your makeup last long and not budge in the heat is little is more. So just be more particular about the placement of your product. Once you've done the same on the other side, go and repeat the same on the forehead, because you want to balance out the colour. And also, because we're going for a summer look, you want to look nice and bronzed. So try to go in with a slightly warmer toned contour if you can, which is still dark enough to be a contour, but it's not too cool toned that it will make you look slightly ashy. You know, when you get that kind of grey look, that's when you've gone a little bit too cool toned, because you go a little ashy. So you want to go for something that's warm enough to keep you bronzed and look really like sun-kissed and gorgeous, but at the same time not too warm that you look orange and it doesn't look like you're actually creating shadows on your face, which effectively is what a contour like is. So make sure that the transitions are nicely blended out and you've got no harsh areas at all. So I'm gonna use where is it? I'm gonna mix my Too Faced Born This Way multi-use sculpting concealer in the shade Warm Beige with my LA Girl Pro Conceal concealer in Yellow Corrector. So this is gonna give you coverage and this is gonna give you a bright under eye. So that's why I like the combo. Now the next bit is like really easy to skip when you're feeling lazy, but so crucial. Damp your beauty blender like mad. Like seriously, like don't be lazy. Don't use it if it's like semi-damp, like, you know, day 2 kind of dampness, you know what I mean? Like no, just go fresh. So on that note, I'll be back in a second because I've not done that. Okay, now I'm also going to contour my nose because if you know me, you know that I live for my nose contour. So I'm just going to use the same product and on this little angled brush to give me precision. And I'm just going to do my usual nose contour. Okay, so now we're going to move on to concealer. So I'm going to use a mixture of my Too Faced Born This Way multi-use and multi-use sculpting concealer. Got there. Mixed with my LA Girl Pro Conceal in the shade Yellow Corrector. So the reason why this combo is great is the Too Faced one will give you the full coverage that you want, but the LA Girl will give you the bright yellow under eye, which is really nice for that like summer beat. You want to go for like a bright under eye that have like that very like snatched bright look. So that's why I love that combo. So I'm gonna first start with my Too Faced concealer. I do use this to kind of sculpt my face as well and assist with my nose contour. So I'm not just gonna use it to like brighten up my under eyes. But anyway, because we've not done foundation, you can go in a little bit more generously. So to be honest, it's safer to go in a little bit and then build it, rather than starting too heavy and then you're just like, oh my god, like I put way too much and now it's gonna look cakey. So I take it down the sides of my nose as well. So I've just kind of like dabbed it out. And then I'm gonna take it down the center and on my forehead. And I'm gonna leave that there. Then I'm gonna take my LA Girl Pro Conceal and just add a little bit to my under eyes. Literally not very much, just a little touch to give that yellow undertone. So now I let that sit there just for a few seconds, like not very long, because that will help to intensify the coverage a little bit more. And then I go in with a damp beauty blender. You need to make sure it's damp, because when you use one that's like semi-damp or it's dry, the product isn't like, the whole beauty of using a sponge is that you can never have too much product on your face, because the sponge gets rid of any excess product. If you don't make it damp, the sponge can't, like, it doesn't absorb the extra product as much as it normally would. So the beauty of using a sponge kind of gets lost if it's not damp. So why this is so important is when you're doing your makeup for summer and you want to make sure that that base is not going to look cakey, it's going to withstand sweat and heat and everything, and it's going to be locked in place. You can't be having any kind of cakey makeup. So you need it to be thin and you need it to be effective. So to do that, you need to use a beauty blender to soak up any excess product. So particularly with concealer, because cakiness is usually where you put the heaviest amount of product. And the heaviest product for me personally is always my under eyes, because I like to conceal and brighten the area. And then I set that with powder. So you've got a lot of products. That's probably the area of my face that carries the most products laid on top of each other. So you want to make sure that the layers are all thin. So make sure that your beauty blender is really nice and damp, and then start dabbing the concealer to blend it out. You don't want to swipe, because if you swipe, you're moving away all the layers that you've just applied before. So all your primers and everything, and your foundation, if you have applied foundation there, you're moving the placement of it all. So you want to dab. So small and fast dabbing motions, and you want to bounce the product, and you want to bounce the sponge and take it slightly lower down so that you're blending it into your contour area as well. So you don't have like concealer contour, you have like a gradient between the two. Okay, then when it's all blended, you can see what you're kind of dealing with, and you can make any adjustments that you might want to. So for example, I want to go in with a little bit more coverage on my under eyes. So I'm going to take my Too Faced concealer, and I'm going to put just a dot on either side, just directly under my eyes, and blend that out. Straight after you've applied your concealer, you want to set that with powder. This is so important, because you can have the most flawless base with your creams and everything can look great, but if you don't set it with powder, it's not going to last throughout the day, and the sweat's going to come through, it's all going to move south, and it's not cute. So you want to lock all the hard work that you've done in place. So the best way to do that is with powders, particularly translucent powders. So my favourite is the Laura Mercier translucent powder, which looks like this, but with a lid, which I don't have. And I love that because it's so finely milled. So what that means is the powder granules are so fine that when you go in with it on your face, it never kind of, well, in my experience, it's never appeared cakey, or it doesn't like sit heavily on the skin. It's really nice and thin. Even if you like kind of feel the texture, like if you just rub it between your fingers, it's so fine, like it's so fine, which is exactly what you want in a translucent powder. So I'm using my translucent powder from Laura Mercier, but I'm also mixing it with my Makeup Revolution Luxury Powder, banana powder. And the reason why is because this has a really nice banana yellow tone to it, so it's going to help to brighten up the under eye area, which is exactly what we want for that kind of summer bright look. So I went ahead and mixed the two in the lid of my Laura Mercier powder. And then what you want to do is the areas where you naturally crease very easily on your face. So this is different for everyone. The typical areas are directly under your eyes. So the creases that fall under your eyes naturally from like your eyeballs. I get one big crease down the center here. And I also get lines on my forehead, and also my laugh lines around my mouth here. These are all areas where product normally falls into them, and I get a little bit of creasing. So the areas where you get creasing are the areas that you need to prioritize with your powder. They are the areas where powder is most important. The other areas are not as important. So I have already set my under eyes, because you need to do that really quick straight after you apply your concealer, because the longer you leave it between concealer and powder, the product is already going to start like falling into your lines before you even realize it, particularly under your eyes. Your concealer or the products, whatever that you're using, will slowly start to fill into them lines, and that's the opposite of what you want. So if, let's say, that does happen, you get delayed or whatever, you can't really act quick, that's fine, but just make sure that you take your damp beauty blender and you look up and you tap out the product from all the creases before you set that powder. So the same with any area where you might crease, like for example, I've not set my forehead yet, so I would just go and bounce the sponge, just kind of like blend extra, just to make sure that no product has moved anywhere. And then I would go straight in like this. So I'll push the powder onto the sponge like that and push it into my skin. So the areas where you get oily is also where you want to capitalize on the powder. So the areas that you crease and the areas that you get oily. So for me, that is my nose and around my nose. So that's where I'm going to make sure I have a good amount of powder locking in the cream products. So that way it's not going to move. So basically you want to think of the powder as like a barrier. So it's acting as a barrier so that any external factors like that sun, that heat, anything will not affect your makeup. It's also a barrier from the other way. So when you've got sweat and stuff coming from your pores wanting to get out, the powder is a barrier, so it won't come through the powder, so it won't be seen by everyone else. Deception level. Yeah, so apply the powder and then push it into the skin. If you want to see in more detail how to apply powder in the most effective way for this, my baking video is probably the best for that because I explain it in a lot of depth, so I will link it down below, and yeah, that will kind of explain it a little bit clearer. So at the moment, the only areas I've set are my forehead, my nose, and just directly under my eyes, like literally just here. I do want to go in with more powder under my eyes because I've not set all the areas that need to be set, but for right now, I'm just going in directly under the eyes because I'm going to go in with some more cream products. And in general, you want to get your creams done before you move on to powders, because if you mix creams and powders, you generally get that cakey sort of look, which is exactly the opposite of what we're trying to achieve. So I want, where's all my stuff? Guys, I'm actually baffled, like where is all my makeup? Nah, on a reel, where is it? I found it, it was in my freelance kit. I'm gonna take my my iconic London Illuminator drops in the shade Original, and I'm just gonna dot this onto my cheekbones on the highest points. So I'm gonna go in like that and then take my damp sponge straight away and blend it. This stuff dries so fast, so do one side, then blend, and then move on to the other side of your face and blend. Okay, so now we have a really nice little sheen going on, but it looks really kind of glowy and radiant instead of like chalky on the skin, you know what I mean? Now I'm going to take the rest of the translucent and banana powder, and I'm just going to push the powder into like more of the area that we put concealer, so my under eyes but slightly lower. So all this area that I wanted to set but haven't yet, I'm going to take it up to the sides of my nose as well. But I'm not applying this over the area where we've just put the Illuminator drops. So I'm also going to take it to clean up the contour area underneath and set that area just a little bit. So I'm going in quite lightly, just to hold the contour in place so it doesn't move south throughout the day. Okay, now I'm going to dust that away. I'm just brushing away the excess powder so there's none sort of sitting on the top of the skin, which isn't really doing anything. Okay, now we are going to, what are we going to do? In terms of highlight, we want to be blinding, right? And the most intense highlight I've ever used is the Ofra Cosmetics Glow Goals Highlighter Guys, this stuff is incredible, like incredible. So I'm gonna take, where is it? I'm gonna take this brush, which is my Morphe M438 brush, and I'm going to take it in the pan, dust off the excess, and take it across the areas that we put the Illuminator drops. Okay, so now I'm going to take a little bit of my Fenty Beauty highlighter in Hustler Baby, and I'm going to take some of that over the top of the Ofra. Oi, glow is looking a bit mad. Oh, I found it! I'm gonna take this thin brush. It Cosmetics have one of these. And I'm gonna take my contour shade. So I'm gonna use Island Ting from Fenty Beauty, which is this matte bronzer. And it's nice and warm without being too warm. And I'm gonna use this to just carve out my contour. Now I'm taking this brush from number 7 and I'm using it to kind of bronze the parameters of my face. So I'm taking the same product, but it's a little bit loose because the brush is less dense. So the product is going to distribute a lot more evenly and less intense. So I'm going to take circular motions and start basically swirling this all the way around my face, but concentrating it obviously in my contoured areas. So down here, and allowing it to kind of blend the contour line with my highlighter, and also bronzing up my temples nicely. Okay, you can keep kind of going with that until you're at the level of bronze that you're happy with. I'm feeling this! I'm feeling this level of bronziness. This is a vibe, guys. What can I say? It's just a bit of a vibe. Okay. So now it's time for blush. I'm going to take my... No, I don't want to use that. Should we switch it up a bit? I'm too safe. Let's switch it up. I'm going to take my Makeup Revolution blush palette. This one, Blush Queen it's called. And I'm going to... Why does this stuff always happen to me when I'm filming? As I was saying, I'm gonna take this shade here, and it's basically, these are all shimmery blushes, so it gives you a really nice sheen as well as blushing up your cheeks. So I'm gonna mix that with my NYX Sweet Cheeks palette, and I'm gonna take this one over here. So this is gonna give me more of a coral tone, which I kind of want, but that's gonna give me the sheen. So I'm gonna mix the two, so we can have the best of both. Cue Hannah Montana. So I'm going to use this brush first to layer on the coral shade because it's a little bit more dense. It's going to give us the pigment. So I'm going to go on the apples of my cheeks, but slowly swirl it upwards. I'm going to take this BH Cosmetics brush in number 26, and I'm going to take that shimmery blush that I showed you guys. And I'm going to add some of that to the apples of my cheeks. Alright, now I am going to go back in with my highlighter. I'm going to use my Ofra one. And I'm going to take a tiny brush. So this one, and I'm going to use it to highlight my brow bone, my inner corner, and my nose. Now that is done, we are on to the final step, which is just to lock your makeup in place. So I'm going to spray my face one last time with the Urban Decay All Night Setting Spray. And what this is going to do is it's going to melt all the powders into each other. So any excess powder that you have looking dry on the surface of your face, it's going to melt it into the rest of your makeup so it does not look dry. Your excess powder is not shown. It allows all of the powders that you've put, all the bronzers, all the contour, all the blush, everything to kind of diffuse into each other a little bit, as well as locking in your makeup in place. Wow, my hair is now messed up, but we move. Guys, I nearly forgot the lips, so that wasn't the last step. This is the last step. So I'm taking my NYX lip liner in the shade Intimidate, which is a really nice kind of like warm brown. Lip liners are really good because they last long, especially this one. This one is waterproof. Waterproof, aka sweatproof and heatproof, and it's gonna last. So I'm just gonna line my lips with this, and then put a little bit of gloss in the center to give it the glowy look, and moisturize it a little bit. So I'm taking my Natural Collection gloss in the shade Baked Pecan in the center. Wow, that's dark. Alright, I'm going to take a little bit of the lip liner in Sugar Glass from NYX, and I'm going to use it just to lighten up the center a little bit because sis did not realize how dark this was going to look. Okay, lips are done. So guys, that is the finished... No, it's not. What is my hair doing? Okay guys, so that is the finished look. I really hope that you enjoyed this tutorial and you found it useful in some way. Hopefully. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate all of your support and everything that you guys do for me. I love you so much. So thank you guys so much for being here and watching me bang on about all this stuff. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Mwah! Bye guys. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I show you how... Why does my hair keep... So today I show you guys how I created the base that I've got going on. I wanted to create something for summer, which is kind of like sweat and heat proof. Like, can just kind of withstand heat, last long, not look cakey, feel kind of light on your skin and not feel like you're doing a full beat, but still being able to look like you got a full beat. You know, you feel me? You know what I mean? Like full beat, but without the like the negative feelings of a full beat. I think I just repeated what I just said, but we move. Anyways, so that is what the aim of this video was. So I kind of talk you through my techniques as well as the products I'm using, and I show you how I use them and why it's important to do each thing, and how that will either make your makeup last longer or be thinner and less cakey. You feel me? So I really hope that you guys find this one useful, and yeah, that's it really. So thank you guys so much for clicking on the video, and I will see you all in 2 seconds.